Okay. Welcome to ISE. Just want to thank the AV magazine team for putting up with me for the next hour, which is great. My name's Sanj, and I run a digital agency called Tiger Heart, and I'm here to talk to you about mixed reality and the future of AV tech. Now, I'm just going to point out that this presentation, it's not one of those crystal ball predictions. It's more kind of, we're just kind of exploring the current and emerging trends and the factors that are affecting mixed realities within the space that we're here today. I've basically been working with different disciplines within the digital space for about 20 years. I started off in the music industry, like I'm sure some of you guys here come from very artistic backgrounds. And this was back in the sort of late 90s when people were using social media, when social media was called the internet. And it was quite a new medium. And through that experience, I really got to see this kind of appetite for the new digital consumer and how their habits were evolving within the new digital space. So that's kind of where I came from. But ultimately, it led me into lots of different things. And now I mainly work with luxury and fashion brands to help them communicate their messages using new and emerging technologies. But this presentation is not a sales pitch. It's not about me. I'm here to sort of talk to you about mixed reality. So there's a growing access to technology at the moment, and it's leading the ways of thinking and doing. The term mixed reality has been thrown about a lot. It's kind of like a marketing buzzword, but pinning down a precise definition has proven elusive. Mixed reality, sometimes referred to as hybrid reality, hypothetically speaking, is where all virtual worlds merge to produce new environments. But what does that mean, and how can it benefit AV? The digital landscape that we're in at the moment, even though the digital revolution 20 years ago has kind of changed things dramatically, we're still in the early stages of something really exciting. And we're kind of on the cusp of what some people call the fourth industrial revolution. Some of you guys know what mixed reality is. Some of you guys don't. Some of you guys are confused. This is a video by ODG, just kind of giving you an idea of what mixed reality can do. At the moment, a lot of people are talking about the use of smart glasses and how they're going to benefit, the way we live our lives at present. And some people are scared that's going to lead into lots of different things. But ultimately, where it's going to gravitate towards is when we start to embed technology into our bodies and into our brains, which is quite exciting. Should we take it seriously? So I just thought I'd jump here and just start talking about Generation Alpha. So have any of you guys started thinking about Generation Alpha at the moment? Is it something that you guys know about? Well, Generation Alpha, there are more than 2.5 billion Gen Alphas born globally every week. When they've all been born, which is in 2025, they will number almost 2 billion. Really cool technologist guy called Mark McCrindle. He believes that this massive group of people who started school last year are going to be the most formally educated generation ever, the most technology supplied generation ever, and globally, the wealthiest generation ever. There are factors that will set this generation apart from those that came before. Now, that's a good thing, it's a bad thing. Some people, are not interested in it, but some people are. And it's also quite exciting as well. Like, whether you're open to technology or not, this generation is basically going to have their perception shaped and influenced in ways that haven't been influenced before. Lots of companies are talking about promising the future. So there's loads of businesses that are investing in new technologies and bringing that to market. This is a William Gibson quote. The future's here, it's not just widely distributed yet. So to me, I feel that the technology that's out there at the moment is fantastic. There's some really good opportunities for businesses to do some exciting things. However, there's still a lot more that needs to be cracked. For me, whenever I'm working with technology, I'm always focusing on the psychology of that technology, how people react to it, how people use it. But at the moment, it's all about headsets, which is cool, you know. There's lots of businesses investing in this new tech, and there's lots of things that are going to happen, and lots of challenges that are going to be overcome through that. Google Glass, I know you guys must remember this technology. It came out a while ago. You know, it crashed and burned for many reasons. However, the quality of the engineering was actually pretty extraordinary for the time. VR, it's been here for a while. There has not been a revolution, and it doesn't feel like there's going to be a revolution for VR for a while. But people are using it and exploring that type of technology. Then there's HoloLens, another company, Microsoft, promising the future that we all understand. Even though it's a fantastic piece of engineering, it has its problems. There's Magic Leap, which looks good on paper. You know, people have been talking about it for 6 years, but they've managed to accumulate almost $2 billion worth of investment, $2 billion worth of investment. And the device is supposed to basically leave the world of hype and land in the real world this year. And also there's online starter kits where you can basically learn how to make these mixed reality headsets just using stuff that you can buy online. Some of it looks cool, some of it doesn't. But to me, a lot of this technology is a load of arse for many reasons. There's 4 basically key challenges at the moment within the mixed reality space. First one is field of view. So I don't know if you guys have used Microsoft's HoloLens, but the field of view on there isn't, what was promised by, all the promo videos that are showing at the moment. The other thing is tethering, where, there's either you have to connect a headset to a computer that you have to hold on to, or it's in the device, and usually it's quite bulky. The other thing as well is visual alignment. So the tracking software that's being built at the moment, to me, doesn't feel that it's that robust. And also the last thing, which is something that will develop in time, is that user experience research. However, on Tuesday, I saw a video of a product by Intel called Vont. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that product yet. So this is something that I haven't used yet. However, it feels like it's addressing the challenges that mixed reality is facing at the moment. So, understanding the future. So before we jump into the consumer mixed reality space, we must think about the current technology revolutions that are happening at the moment and where they fit within culture at the moment. Augmented reality. So this is something I've been working with for about 6 years now, and I love it. I feel it's an untapped goldmine of digital IP that no one has really exploited yet. And the technology is starting to get smaller and smaller, and people are starting to be open to these types of devices, whether it's smart glasses or the state-of-the-art smartphone. This is a DigiCapital quote, a forecast of 900 million AR-enabled smartphones by the end of 2018 due to the launch of Apple's AR Kit and Google's AR Core last year. So loads of people are using it. There's loads of people that aren't using it. The reality is, though, this software now is open source. Anyone can get their hands on it. It's quite intuitive, quite easy to use, and it allows for creative people to build things and create new experiences. Bethany Kobe, an author, there is demand for physical play experiences to do more, to be more fun, to be more interactive and more responsive. At the moment, well, up until now, there's been lots of limitations, and now the future is starting to be built, and there's lots of opportunities for people to create new types of engagement using augmented reality. Artificial intelligence, old technology that's been around in the consumer space since the 90s, but it's now starting to be embraced by consumers of all ages. There's a Trash Year quote, which basically says there will be an estimated 1 billion users of voice assistants like Amazon's Alexa and Apple Siri by 2021. And that's great because it can really allow for businesses like yourselves to start to develop new forms of automation that people can talk to. James Scott from ICT, we find ourselves at the next phase in human evolution where restricted man merges with infinite possibilities of hyper-evolving technologies. Now that's really exciting because now these new AI platforms are starting to be smarter than us. Whether that's scary or not, it's an exciting and interesting space to be in, and it allows us to create new opportunities for those around us. Another thing as well, blockchain, usually associated with cryptocurrencies. Blockchain is an incorruptible digital ledger of economic transactions that can be programmed to record not just financial transactions, but virtually everything of value. Now, from a mindset point of view, it's interesting because people usually go to a point to communicate or to do something. And what blockchain platforms allow people to do is to go to many different things and also to be part of that decentralized ecosystem. Decentralized networks will be the next huge wave in technology. The blockchain allows our smart devices to speak to each other better and faster. So, and I've kind of thought about this, from an AV point of view. What if we could create experiences where people using their smart device, whether it's, something that they're wearing on their head or something that's embedded in them or something that they carry, allows them to communicate with the experience around them and engage with that experience and maybe even change that experience. So those are three types of technologies that I feel are kind of quite going through a very important revolution at the moment, and they're going to affect everything that's happening around us. And I've got some thoughts as well to sort of go along with that. So I believe that the AV industry should invest in the future. There's lots of young talent out there, lots of young coders, from all over the world that are starting to build things. And what they really need is a platform for them to, go in and start to, research and develop different ideas. Now, I don't mean that in a patronizing way to, the industry, because I'm sure there's lots of businesses out there that do that. I do a lot of work with Lang and also a lot of work with Panasonic, and they have really fantastic R&D platforms within their businesses. But there are also lots of businesses that don't do that hold on to what they've created in the past. And I think there's some opportunities there for old ways of thinking and new ways of thinking to, commune and basically create new things. The other thing, and this is something that's very important to me, I believe that technology should be beautiful. This isn't beautiful. A lot of the fashion brands that I work with have loads of tech companies who are trying to push this type of tech onto them. And there's a problem because it doesn't really communicate to them the way that they want to express themselves. Within the fashion sector, fashion is, it's supposed to, what you wear and how you are is supposed to empower you, it's supposed to make you feel confident, make you feel sexy, etc. And trying to kind of shoehorn technology into that mindset is difficult. I'm not saying this technology isn't good. It's great, piece of engineering. But just like Google Glass, it's not being applied in the right way to get, the right reaction. Another thing, and this is just my opinion. I believe that there needs to be more women in tech. Now, I think there is a subconscious problem at the moment within all industries around the world where women are not represented equally in development stages of product or service. Some of the best techs that I've ever worked with have been women, but they are scarce, and I feel that there should be a conscious effort to change that. I'm not saying that there's a malicious mindset. I'm just saying that there needs to be some thought about that because, there's just not enough women in these industries. And, this is the future, and it needs to have that balanced approach. And then the last thing, this is my favorite, is let the narrative dictate what technology to use and not let the technology dictate what narrative to use. So this was something that was submitted at the Cannes Lions last year. And basically it was a brand, Boissin, who are a fantastic brand, who created a roller coaster experience using VR where you basically went around a fridge looking for cheese, which I felt wasn't really a good kind of concept. It's not to say that, there's loads of brands need to invest in this type of technology, but what they ended up happening was basically people were having this roller coaster experience and starting to throw up, which is basically a negative brand experience, which is quite funny. But I'm going to go back to William Gibson with my final thought, in that the future's here, and I think all of us really need to just get our hands dirty and start talking to lots of different, creative technologists and seeing what happens. thank you very much. Thanks to AV Magazine, ISE. Has anyone got any questions?
How do we engage the AV community? Because part of this, Sanj, is introducing AVs to radically new technology, but seems to be a bit of a gap. How can we, get them to think differently about what is a new way of implementing this stuff and integrating it into an AV infrastructure, if you like?
I think there needs to be a little bit of investment. When I used to work for a Halician, one of the coolest things I liked about that company was that we just had an empty room with loads of wires and technology, and we just started to phone businesses. So, we'd call up Panasonic, in Japan and say, what are you working on at the moment? Can we get some of that technology, in-house and have a bit of fun with it? And start having open communications about how to take that technology apart and then rebuild it again, because you'll start to see some really cool things appearing from that.
I mean, you can see the museum and visitor attraction business actually really going huge leagues with this stuff, but it's a question of how you experiment to get the best effect out of the technology and where you start. Is it just going to be mavericks who just take that first leap, or is it going to be sold to the mainstream and say, well, this is something you can really transform your environment with?
Yeah, I think these things take time. That's the real issue. There's lots of business out there that are just looking for a quick fix or a quick solution. And I don't think the answers are there yet. I think the answers need to be built, basically. If that makes sense. Thank you so much.